now. Oh, there it is. It's starting the record. Oh, does that mean it's actually recording? Jake is now recording the call.
It's recording.
I figured one thing out. So I guess we'll start off by this is going to be a little bit different this week, boys. We are trying to get rid of the write-up and go this route. Hopefully it's a little easier for people, and it's definitely easier for Jake and I because the write-up takes about like 2 hours, which is just like entirely too much. Hopefully this little like podcast-esque whatever will just shorten that. We'll just yell at each other for a half an hour. You guys will listen to it whenever you want, and then we'll get some feedback on what you prefer. I think we're hoping this one works out more.
I hope so.
For many reasons, but
that write-up took me like 3 hours last week.
Forever. And like we try and make them pretty good and we try and make them pretty in depth, but I mean that like off-season one took me like 4.5 hours with the draft and everything else. So it's just like it's a pain. So we are going to be trying to be like the down home demigods, the something something demigods. Mitch and Pickman also do their own podcast. So maybe we need to get some tips from them. Theirs is on Spotify if you ever need them, but it's Dummy and Pickman Demigods. I don't know what it's called, but it's got demigods in it. We do not have a name for ours. This is our league. But I think we'll start off the way we always do. Now, if this is a recording, can they see us?
Yeah, I don't know why you had your video on. I was just gonna do it no video, but
that's so much better.
We're just gonna go with it.
Oh, I'm so happy. Okay, sorry guys, I'm learning so much. I didn't know how this worked. This is
they could definitely see you.
100%. Oh, this is dope. Okay, that's so much better. Hi guys, it's Chris.
What's up, guys? Shout out Stony Brook. We out here.
You guys did whoop some ass this week, although I guess it was 4-2, and Mr. Delusional got a crazy upset. We'll have some quotes from Mr. Delusional later. He is currently texting me now because he's a pain. He doesn't know we're doing this now, but Trevor, being Mr. Delusional, anybody who wants to go to the Penn State Whiteout, Trevor is trying to go for some reason. Okay. I think we kind of have our little list of games. We'll do our little week review. I guess I need to pull up Sleeper so I know what the heck I'm talking about half this time. But
I think we were starting with Sarush's game versus Lamb Chop.
Ooh, well, that was a pretty sad game for the Penn State boys. Lamb Chop really did not come in clutch. I guess we can't be too upset at him because, you know, he won a championship and all last year. And he refuses to lose to me because he's a pain in the ass. I mean, I don't think I've beaten him in 3 years. I really don't. I think I've been the favorite every time we've played it and never won. But anyway, in this game, as I think we need to talk about is just Lamar. Like, do we need to say any other words but Lamar? Because that dude went off for 41. And he is just MVP of the league right now, I would guess.
I think he's easily MVP.
And I mean, Burrow had 3 touchdowns and literally got smoked in the QB1 spot. So I mean, if you have a QB putting up 41, it's kind of over. You need to put up some big time numbers. I think ETN showed some things for Lemon. However, he still is outshadowed by James Robinson, and I hope that continues because that'd be lovely. Cooper Kupp, I mean, the dude does nothing and somehow ends up with 15 points. Like, you watch that game and he's just, like, not there, and yet there's 15.
Yeah, I would have appreciated that run being a pass, but I think I was losing this week either way, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, you had a tough week, and I think we'll get back to that one. I think one of the things we want to talk about here is what the heck you do with Tua and Danny Jones if you're Sarush, but maybe
I think the biggest thing is Tua and Amon-Ra are on the injury report here.
And maybe that's a time to talk about it when we talk about his next week's game. Because this week they played, neither one was fantastic. They just like solidly gave him 11. But I mean, I think if Sarush is winning with Davante Adams putting up 12, it's a pretty good week. On Lamon's side, his team of white boys did not really pull through as much as he probably would have liked. Interesting.
Lots of points on the bench.
Yeah, and I think it was interesting he went with Garoppolo over Flacco. It turned out to be the right call, but like the week before, Flacco flat out beat me, like by himself. So starting Jimmy G was an interesting call. Herbert could spell some scary news for DeMont owners. While Williams continually just steals Devontae Swift's everything. And Dameon Pierce looks like that man. So, Lamon, I think you make better decisions and you may have a shot in this game, even with Lamar putting up 42. So I think we're blaming you on this one. You are a Penn State disappointment. And I think now we get to go to another fun game. We get Jake versus Pickman in a game that Stony Brook is sad that Jake lost and is really fun to see. Welcome to the league, Pickman. Maybe you'll lose sometime, but apparently not. Josh Allen just wants to continue throwing 63 passes a game somehow. That's crazy. That's just craziness. That man threw 63 times.
Yeah. It's wild because they were winning most of that game. And they just do not stop giving him the ball.
I mean, I guess they like don't have a choice, but God, I mean, like their running backs aren't that bad.
Singletary looked solid. I mean, he had a good game. He had like 20 fantasy points this week.
Yeah, and what's his name? Woods, like, not Cooks. I don't know where I got Woods from. I'm just making things up. Like, again, like, he looks fine. I know he's had some issues. But, I mean, Trent with Allen, I think Gibson and Hunt are always going to be question marks. Mark Andrews and the QBs won this week.
Yeah.
I think the Saquon trade was great for you. Trevor went behind my back and made it. So that was sad.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I think your running back situation remains interesting if Swift doesn't do things, because that's crazy.
Oh, he's hurt. He's out the next few weeks now. So
yeah, I saw Dan Campbell say that. So Sean, make him feel better. Go drag his
He'll be on the bench. We'll have to ride that one out, but
yeah,
we got enough depth, so I think we'll be able to fill it in for now.
Yeah, I think it was interesting you put CD on the bench. I know CD's your boy. Brandon Cooks did not look like that man. And I mean, I guess Pitts finally had a somewhat decent showing.
Yeah, I mean, can't say I'm a fan of Arthur Smith there, but
it's been crazy.
I guess if they're just gonna throw it to everyone else, then maybe we'll get some wide open targets. Fuck it. I mean, Cooks, I don't mind that start. I'd probably do that again, to be honest. I'm not going to start CD against the Giants if I don't think he's going to absolutely smash. So,
and I mean, I think Stafford and Cousins and Fields. I mean, Cousins in what was a better game than the week before was nice. Stafford, I mean, it feels like Stafford's having a great season as like a quarterback, not as a fantasy quarterback right now.
Yeah. Touchdowns haven't come, but we'll see. Gotta imagine he starts throwing some pretty soon. So
yeah, he's got to, right? Like it's just like it's got to happen.
I mean, he's completed 70% of his passes, so I'm not too worried about Stafford right now.
And I mean, like Pickman's been interesting, and I know he's left McLaurin on the bench a decent amount. But right now, Pickman is winning with what feels like lack of depth. Like you go through that team and it feels like lack of depth, but I guess we can talk about that later. Jahan Dotson cooled off a little bit against Philly, but I guess so did everyone on that team. All right, it looks like we're up to Skullcap and Mr. Jones, which isn't his last name, and it still bugs me out. Like, what is Cam's name?
Kelly is his last name.
It's not even close.
No.
Like, I know, like, his picture was originally, what's his name?
So the story behind that is Cam is a huge Danny Dimes fan. So Mr. Jones is Daniel Jones.
Oh, it's
not Cam.
Okay, well, I guess that explains a little, sort of. Wild to me, he's a big Danny Dimes fan. Is he not a Giants fan?
Well, he was a big Danny Dimes fan heading into Danny Dimes' second year at least. I'm not sure the current status on that.
You know what?
Fandom.
I really like Cam, but that is wild. That is insane. I really think one of these days I have to find the video of when they drafted Danny Dimes, and I was sitting in Pickles Bar in State College, Pennsylvania, with Topher for all you Penn Staters, and he recorded me as the Giants made their pick, and they picked Danny Dimes, and I cried. But anyway, we can move on to this game. Another tough one for Skullcap. He's putting up wild amounts of points and losing. Jared Goff seems like a pretty decent QB. And I mean, Herbert and Goff and Matt Ryan seem like they could be that 1-2-3 combo for Mr. Scullin. But I mean, they certainly did not get him that win this week. I also didn't realize that Cam still had nicknames on every single person on his team.
Yeah, I mean, exceptionally average for Christian Kirk. I don't know about that anymore. My guy scores like 20 points a game.
Yeah, I mean, that man has been killing. Trevor Lawrence has been killing. Shout out to Urban Meyer for just being the worst coach on the planet. I mean, I think
bad human too.
Yeah, fair enough. So Nebraska might get him now, or I think is the rumor. So that's fun for any college football fan. But Jalen Hurts is that man? Maybe is that a thing? Are we saying that now?
Hey, I think he leads all. Maybe besides Lamar, I think he leads all quarterbacks in rushing, and I'm pretty sure he's top 5 in passing yards right now. So
definitely second in rushing.
I'd say he's that guy. I don't know.
Crazy.
I wish Cam traded him to me in the offseason, but I don't think that was going to work out anytime.
Legitimate. I can't see it staying that way. I don't know. I'm not a Jalen Hurts truther. I'm just not.
He's looked good, man. I've watched those games. He's looked good.
Bulls have looked great in general. I mean, don't get me wrong. But also, Cam's team is just so interesting to me because it's like the people who are supposed to be putting up the big numbers, at least this week. Because I mean, Stephon Diggs still put up 11, but it wasn't the 800 he put up last week. Because that was just blasphemy.
I mean, Diggs putting up 11 when Josh Allen throws 63 times is kind of a crazy happening. I don't know what to call it, but yeah. I don't know. I mean, Diggs is Diggs. He's going to be, I think he's still the number 1 receiver this year, so I wouldn't worry about him too much.
Oh, not even a little bit. And I think Sean's team is pretty interesting. I mean, he needs that second wide receiver. Mike Evans needs to be back around. I mean, it feels like he needs a second of everything.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like Edmonds in the flex personally. I'm not an Edmonds guy, but he did well this week. So,
and I think if Dalvin Cook is out, which I don't know, I haven't seen an update, but Madison is. I think I would argue he's the best handcuff in the NFL that doesn't get regular touches. Because if you look at Cleveland, Kareem Hunt is probably a better handcuff, but he's a 1.5 RB. He's not an RB2 the way they use him. Madison is legit RB2 who plays 4 games a year and just puts up numbers when he plays.
I think we might have to start putting Khalil Herbert in that conversation. My guy puts up 130 yards every time he plays.
I don't know if he's going to stay as an RB2 right now. I think that's going to be a whole different conversation when Demont is back.
Yeah.
And I think you and I are both Demont, like, I think we're both big fans of Demont, so it's a little sad to see that happen. But I think Sarush called that. I think there was a point when you told me Sarush was like, he thinks Khalil is going to be this. And I was like, there's no way. Demont is that man. Sarush, I apologize. You seem like you were right. It seems like I was wrong. It's not the first nor last time that's going to happen in like this conference. About just each individual one of our team owners, because I think I tend to be wrong more than right. But I think we can move on.
Yep.
Other than unless we need to talk about Justin Herbert, because God knows what that's going to look like in that rib, and that's just scary.
Yeah, I mean, seems like something he'll play through for however many weeks, and then he'll be fine eventually. And maybe imagine after 4 or 5 weeks, he'll be back to normal at the very least.
And maybe Keenan Allen coming back gives him that extra weapon. It opens up Mike Williams a little bit, and that just opens up everything. So
yeah,
I'm not too worried about him. But now we get into a fun little matchup that I think could have gone either way. Clearly, Biondi was the better man against Mr. DeSalvi this week. But, I mean, Biondi for a tanker has been at least close in 2 games, has won 1. So maybe he's not so stupid.
Plus, he has picks now, so.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting. I think he's lucked out some things. Like Jeff Wilson now just gets to start because God knows what's going on in freaking San Francisco. But Amari Cooper is that man for somebody who wants a wide receiver. Go get Amari Cooper. And Biondi, I will say it now, come to me with any trades that people are offering you, and I will maybe match. So, benefit of doing this, Jake, we get to tell people what's happening on our decision-making process. I love Amari Cooper. I have loved Amari Cooper. I think before the season started in my preseason thing, I was like, Amari Cooper and Brandon Cooks both have potentials to be top, like 15 wide receivers. I don't remember what I said, but he's making me look smart. Brandon Cooks made me look dumb this week, but again, not shocking.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big thing for Biondi is seeing what Olave is doing out there. He gets like 13 targets a game. So I think future is looking bright. Gabe Davis didn't look bad. All those 6 targets on 63 passes.
The real question with Biondi's team is what he does in the running back position. I mean, like, if he can get number 1 pick and snag whatever running back is sitting there at the time, the way Tom did with Breece Hall. Again, Breece has not looked fantastic, but has been solid for 3 weeks. Without a QB, because, I mean, unless you consider Joe Flacco QB, but I guess he doesn't have one this week either now that Zach is back.
Yeah, I got to imagine first pick this year is going to be a quarterback, but hey.
No, I mean, I don't want to give people any draft advice, but I think there are some great quarterbacks. I think there are probably 2 or 3 that I really, really like. I think there is especially at least one running back who I love. I don't know what they're sitting at as like where to draft them right now, but let's just say the running back I love lost this week, and it's funny because I like when they lose. But anyway, that's not saying too much. I like when so many people lose. I think Tom's team is interesting. I mean, Russ just does not look like Russ. No. That's a problem.
Nathaniel Hackett's trash. Calling it right now. Hope he gets fired by the end of the year.
Well, I think Russ is interesting. I think if Tom was willing to trade him, I think he's still worth some value. I think somebody in like a playoff contention position who needs that QB, maybe like Sean, maybe Trevor, if he keeps winning, it like throw some draft capital at Tom for Russ. I think he's maybe worth it.
Hey, it can't get any worse than what it started, so.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I think Bateman for some reason fell off the map this week. I'm not really sure why, after being looked at like 100 times the week before. But yeah,
I've been kind of disappointed with his targets all year, pretty much. I mean, I know he's gotten some big catches, but
yeah, that's fair. Allen Robinson is still a question mark. I'm a little confused at his uses. I think Drake London has been fine. I think right now Olave looks better, but I think Tom in the long run probably made the right call there, especially with Pickett off the board, because I think if Pickett was there, maybe that's what Tom should have went with. Tom had some production. I mean, Dortch was a pretty fun pickup. That dude just gets target after target after target. And Romeo Dobbs is maybe wide receiver one out there in Green Bay right now.
looks like it. 8 for 8, 73 and 1. I'm not mad at that.
No, and I think I think one of the players that I'm not worried about that maybe like a couple weeks from now will be is if Kenneth Walker's production still has gone nowhere. He's still returning. I mean, I'd like to see him on the field more.
I mean, everyone knows Pete Carroll's a little crazy. I think you can't be mad watching Ken Walker.
Yeah,
looking at what you see out there. So
I agree.
Pete Carroll's the kind of guy that'll sit Ken Walker the whole year, and then next year he won't leave the field. So
Speaking of,
Biondi's not trying to win now, so it's not really a big deal.
I love the Ken Walker pick. I think you and I had a fun argument about Ken Walker. Ken Walker was electric to watch in person, Spartian. It's fun. My brother still doesn't remember his name, just remembers the running back from Michigan State and it's not a hard name. He just forgets it every time because we hadn't watched him play Rutgers last year, and he's just electric. It was Rutgers, so it's like a D3 school they were playing, but still, electric times. Did we?
I think we're ready to move on to your game here.
My turn. Sorry, Danny. I think part of the week I was actually rooting for Danny. I prefer him to me in real life. Yeah. But I was happy to get a win here. I think Kyler just needs to get into the end zone. And Kyler having like 60 rushing yards in 3 weeks is a problem.
Yeah, Arizona looks awful, but obviously Nuke's coming back, so
yeah,
we'll see how that turns out. Disappointing week for you at the wide receiver position here.
It's been a disappointing couple of weeks. I mean, Justin Jefferson and Jamar really came out of the gates hot. And then, I think Kirk Cousins is learning the new offense. Like, maybe. And also, can we talk about how many fumbles I lost last week?
That is wild. But whenever you have a receiver fumble, that's always a little crazy.
But I mean, there was at one point when it was Kamara, Harris, and Chase were like, and they're right in a row in my starting, and they all fumbled, and I was just like, I'm losing so many points right here. I mean, if I lost by 1 point or 2 points, I mean, simply just people dropping the ball, it wouldn't be the issue. However, I think the big maybe surprise to everyone that I was kind of holding out hope for is that James Robinson is still that man. And I was listening to like some local sports radio out here in the boondocks of Colorado, and they're like, James Robinson looks like him as a rookie. I was like, that's a year ago. Like, what do you mean? Like, he looked fine last year too. Like, I'm a little confused by, and I think ETN's draft capital gives him some clout, but I don't know. I think going into the year as well, I thought Kyler was a guaranteed start. I think Trevor Lawrence has told me that is not true.
Yeah, I mean, Lawrence looks great. What can you say?
He's a beautiful horse-looking man.
I think he's a little weird-looking, to be honest, but
I think that's crazy. He's gorgeous.
I disagree, but
fair
that's
enough.
All right.
Yeah. And then I think Danny's team is still in a little bit of rebuild. I mean, Devontae Smith doing what Devontae Smith did is huge. I think that's huge production for Danny. I think that's it. I mean, and it's not just like he got a bunch of yards, he scored a touchdown. It's having the target share, having the route runs. Like he is doing what needs to be done to be a legit wide receiver that Danny can start every week.
Yeah, I think Elijah Moore's been pretty disappointing so far. I'd imagine he turns that around, but
I think like theoretically with Claypool, Pittman, Moore, and Smith, like he's gonna find two receivers to play every week. It's just if he plays the right one.
mm,
And then the question is like, what do you do at the running back position? I think like Fournette is Fournette, but I think he's a guaranteed start. I think Mitch traded Pollard for like a bag of peanuts, which I thought was a little interesting in Mitch's position. And then like I'm very anti-Penny. I think you were not anti-Penny if I remember correctly.
I mean, I think Penny will be good until he inevitably snaps his leg in half or his toe hurts or whatever he usually does. But
And as
I
someone
mean,
who's not
he's
there,
been
like,
productive his whole
don't
career. Whenever
appreciate.
he
And then I think Stevenson and Harris went against each other on the bench this week for Pittsburgh, and I think not Pittsburgh, New England. They're always going to be interesting. I think Dan and I both have some question marks leading this game. And I think my question marks are probably different than what they should be because I think Chase and Jefferson I will never consider a question mark. I do need to change my team name, though, because it has been poor since I did that.
Yep.
However, crazy thing is I changed it from Lawrence's losers, and Trevor Lawrence has taken it and ran with it. I really need to start calling it like my opponent's best player because that is the common thread here.
That's a good idea. I should do that too.
And then who? Oh, we got the upset of the week on our last game, right? I mean, this has to be the upset of the week.
That's right. Great job by Trevor holding it down for Stony Brook. I know he went to NYU, but got us the win on the week. So
Stony Brook.
What was that?
His dad and brother went to Stony Brook. He's got the family ties.
Fair enough. There we go. And I don't know if there's all that much to talk about here. I mean, Mitch just had a really bad week here.
So and can we talk about Mitch for a second here? What was that trade at tight end? He's gotten 0 points from the tight end position in 3 weeks. Mitch, I love you. What are you doing?
Should have started Kmet. He got at least 5 points this week.
Oh, he got a target this week? That's lovely.
I mean, if Mitch gets 0 from tight end every week, I think he might be in trouble. But I got to imagine he finds a couple points here and there.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's got some running backs that people either love or hate. Aaron Jones, like, I don't know what to do with. Joe Mixon, I've always been down on, but he's always a top 10 running back somehow at the end of the year. It feels like he does nothing for 7 games and does a lot for some. I mean, Trevor's interesting. I thought his trade of getting Hilaire when trading Saquon was big. I think Garrett Wilson, if he can, I don't know what his injury status is now, was huge. But Trevor has just started the right person each week.
Yeah, I mean, you look at his bench, I don't think anyone got more than 2 points. So
to be fair,
he optimized his lineup there.
It's a terrible bench. But, like, against you, he started Aguilar, who just went nuts. Against Mitch, he starts Singletary, who just goes nuts. Like, what is this? Why does he understand what's happening right now? Because I know he has no idea what he's doing. And just while talking about his upset, he wants to be called the Miracle Man now.
The Miracle Man.
I think Mr. Delusional still fits better. And additionally, I think it'd be hard pressed to call anyone not named Lamb Chop in this league the Miracle Man, at least at this point in time, because that man won a championship with like Cooper Kupp and us on that team.
I'm pretty upset Lamb Chop hasn't changed his name to Cooper Kupp or something involving Cooper Kupp at this point. I mean, that guy is a godsend for that team.
I didn't understand. He won it. I mean, Burrow went nuts at the end too, but Jesus, that was the miracle, man. Trevor, you are still Mr. Delusional. Lamb Chop, you're still Miracle Man. And I'm really mad at you for beating me because you should be sitting at 0-3 right now. But I think we can move on to some standings conversation. I think if you would have told me this is what the standings look like after week 3, I wouldn't have agreed. I mean, Trevor sitting at 2-1 is craziness, especially trading Barkley after week 1. But I mean, with so many teams sitting at 1-2, the difference between a playoff and not a playoff, it's just too early to guess on anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this will be a more interesting segment as we move along further here, but it's really just wait and see at this point.
I mean, if you stop today, I think Lamb Chop and Trevor end up as the last 2 teams in the playoffs. That means nothing today.
I think I just got kicked out of my own meeting somehow.
Oh, I don't think so. I never saw you leave. It looked like you just froze.
That was weird.
We'll see what that looks like after this. Then I guess we'll move on to our weekly power rankings. It looks like we have a few differences here, which is fun. Mostly in the middle of the pack. We both start off with Sarush number 1. I think that's clear right now. Oh, Jake is pressing so many buttons. This stuff is happening. Oh, look at this.
Let's get you out of here.
Where am I?
All right. Yeah. I think we both have Sarush.
I mean,
I don't understand Pickman, but
Pickman is Trent's real name. I guess I can stop calling him that now because I left his Pickman league because I forgot to do stuff for it. So I wasn't there week 1. So the returning champion did not play this year in that league. But he is Pickman. He is
quit while you're ahead.
Yeah, I guess so. It'll pay for my fantasy football for the next few years, which was lovely. I mean, but I would think like Sarush, Pickman, and Cam, like, is that 1, 2, 3, and that's like what it should be? Probably. I don't really see even an argument Sarush isn't one right now. I get Cam and Pickman are both 3-0 as well, but Sarush is just running through people.
Yeah, I mean, if Lamar plays like this all year, I have a feeling we're screwed. Last time he played like this, I think every single person with him on the team won their league, so we'll have to
the contract year, man. Look at Aaron Judge.
Facts.
By the way, just to like take a quick pause and talk about baseball, that man has been walked 40% of his at-bats since he hit 60. That's crazy.
Yeah, but everyone's soft.
I know. But, I mean, the 3-3-0 guys go first. I think that's a good way to start it off. We both agreed with me at 4, and my reasoning was I was 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an argument you could be put at 3 here with Dak being out. I think someone should be rewarded for going 3-0, so I put Cam there. But
and I think Hurts is still. I think I have too many question marks to be that high. I think if anything, I could be moved lower. The problem I had with moving myself lower was everyone but Trevor is 2-1, and Trevor's bad. Oh, he's 1-2. I should say. Yeah. So here's where the big disagreements come because you put Lamb Chop while I put you.
Yeah, I mean, I had to give some respect to our reigning champ here. I still think if you told me that McCaffrey would be healthy at this point and would be where he is, I wouldn't believe you. So I got to believe McCaffrey's going to make a comeback here, and then that Burrow McCaffrey Cup combo, that's going to be pretty dangerous in my opinion.
So I mean, I think that's fair. I think I still find you, and I honestly would maybe still argue you have the most talented team of anybody. I think your running back situation is weird right now. But like JT, Swift, Barkley, Zeke, like they should all over the course of the season put you in really good shape to win. I just thought you were too talented. I think there's been some question marks. I think you may have a question mark at the QB just because you don't have the QB. You don't have that number one right now, where it looks like Cam does. Pickman definitely does. It looks like Sarush 100% does. So the people in front of you seem to, while you and I seem to maybe be struggling a little more with that. But yeah, I think that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And now we go to 6, where you put Mr. Weop Treewater, and I have Skull Daddy.
Yeah, I guess I'm projecting a little on Mitch here. Obviously, Tampa's not healthy, but when they get everyone back, I think that's a pretty dangerous team. And having Godwin and Brady plus Mahomes, and then all his other receivers as well, even if those running backs don't pay off the way he thought they were, I think he's still pretty dangerous there.
Oh, yeah. And I think his wide receiver depth is so good. If you guys like go through it with the AJ Brown, I mean, like, I think most of the time DJ Moore just like sits on his bench along with some other guys who are pretty scary. So I went Sean, not because I think his team is actually better than Mitch's, but just because I think he's been playing better than Mitch. I think Sean has put over 100 points on every game so far. I think he's lost 2 really, really close ones, and just came against me week 1 where I put up the highest number of points. He played Cam this week when Cam just put up like 125.
Yeah.
Easily could be 3-0 depending on his schedule right now. So that's where Sean filled in at 6.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
No, and I think the reason I put Mitch at 7 is for the same reasons you just said. I'm curious to see as to why you put yourself so low. Is it just because you think putting yourself high is a jinx? Because I do believe in that.
Not really. It's an interesting time. I mean, if the running backs outside of Saquon aren't gonna do it for me, obviously I like CD, but Dak being out still scares me a little bit with him. Michael Thomas hurt, Judy not looking like what I thought he might be. So, and same with Pitts. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of talent, but also could end up not working out. So I don't want to do too much projection there. I think there's a lot of question marks still.
Pitts is the craziest one for me.
Yeah, I mean, he looks awesome. So I don't know what they're really doing down there, but
just crazy.
Yeah.
You highlighting Lamb Chop, I broke it. I don't know how I broke it on Lamb Chop's name. It just broke and went off the center.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess
I'm just messing around with that.
This will fix it.
There we go.
Fixed it. Okay. Fixed it. I don't know. It's fixed now, boys. So moving on to 8. This is where I put Lamb Chop. I think it's just because I'm mad he beat me.
Because what?
I'm just mad he beat me.
Yeah.
It's mean of him. If he's going to lose other games that he shouldn't lose, then he shouldn't have beaten me with Joe Flacco putting up 45 points.
Don't know what to tell you there, but I think Lamb Chop being at 8 is a little disrespectful to the reigning champion there.
Well, then he could come fight me.
Yeah, well,
I will whoop that Lamb Chop. I was trying to make a cooking joke and I couldn't find it. Someone send me a cooking joke. I will talk about it next time and give you credit. Someone funnier than me, so all 11 of you. Cooking joke for you. You know we can see your screen still.
I know.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure you didn't have any tabs open that shouldn't and things of that nature. But I think we can go to 9. Mr. McGee, Mr. Delusional, Mr. Trevor sitting at 9 for both of us.
Yeah, not sure there's much to talk about here. He's 2-1, so he leads the tanking portion of the rankings.
And I tell you, if he wins like 1 or 2 more, he really should start making moves to not tank.
I mean, Rodgers gives him a QB, so if he adds another QB, then I don't know. Maybe he could do something. Maybe we have another lamb chop year on our hands. I don't know.
Like, if you can get to 4 wins, if he's sitting at like 4-2, 5-2, it's worth giving up some draft capital to try and maybe go after Russ or somebody beyond your Danny Hab that they're not using. A Fournette maybe. I don't know. But like, if you have that chance to be at one of those 6, I think making a move makes sense.
Yeah, I can see it.
And now we're up to Mr. Biondino, Mr. Ferrari, with a better strategy this week than they've put on all season. Those of you who enjoy the Formula One sport or hobby or whatever you want to call it. He's in tank mode. He's made some trades that have gotten him draft capital. And he beat Tom this week, so he's like clearly number 10.
Yeah, I mean, Amari is on the trade block, so if people need a receiver, he's there. I mean, 2 great weeks in a row. Not even good.
And with Brissett doing what Brissett does, I mean, it's interesting to see what Cleveland does. I mean, clearly they have to go Deshaun, but Brissett has been a top 15 quarterback right now in the league. And I don't know how long that stays. But as someone who likes Jacoby Brissett, it is lovely.
Yeah, some upside with Ritter, maybe second half of the year.
We'll see. Maybe he'll throw to Pitt some more, and they can help out both of you.
I gotta imagine that's a Arthur Smith deal, so I'm not counting on it.
Well, that brings us to Big Tom. I thought he had a pretty good draft class. I think he needs 1 or 2 more pretty good draft classes.
Yeah, I mean, Hall and London look like studs, so I think he accomplished what he wanted to there. Wasn't a big fan of him trading you his pick next year, but
it's not next year.
Well, not the coming draft, the draft after, I meant, but
it was 2025, but I have no recollection.
Okay. Well,
I don't remember. I really don't. I mean, I think Bateman, I think we talked about it before. Bateman's a guy I'm excited about. Plus, he's a row your boat, ski you ma man. They smoked Sparty, so that was fun. Haha, Sean. So anybody who loves just college football, Muhammad Ibrahim is a fun RB to go watch. Tanner Morgan is not a fun QB to watch, though. And if you want to watch some RPO slant routes, Minnesota is your team. And we finish off with Mr. Danny. Danny has been working from the bottom since the very beginning. He was given a team that was tough to start with.
Yeah, I mean, Danny's made a lot of progress. Only reason he's this low, in my opinion, is the Lance injury. If he had 2 quarterbacks, I think he'd be higher. So,
I think that's fair, and I think what happens in Pittsburgh should be interesting. Pickett should start soon.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Lance and Pickett can become easy starts or even like pretty decent QB1, QB2 on a fantasy team, Danny's got the wide receivers we talked about before. He figures out like one running back. Danny's a guy who can find himself moving from the bottom to the middle to top within not too long a time.
Yeah.
I certainly think he's closer to that than Tom is right now. But I think that is just because Pickett was a risky pick, but feels like it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping Pickett fell to me in that draft. Obviously, that wasn't even close to happening. But
Where the heck were you sitting? 10, 11?
8 or 10, something like that. I don't know.
No, Danny.
That's where he was projected, but didn't think it was going to happen. I just like the weapons around there, so I think that makes life a lot easier. Even though Mitch isn't showing that to be true, I think Pickett's a lot better than Mitch.
With an O line that just like is not doing anything. But maybe after a bye week, I don't know when Pittsburgh's bye week is. I think originally they had talked about like week 8 for Pickett.
Yeah,
this was the season, but he certainly is not in the worst spot to move up. I think he's got less question marks than some of the other tanking teams.
Yeah, I think out of the tanking teams, I think Beyondy's probably in the best spot to contend sometime soon, just because Deshaun's coming back and he has Jameis already. But
well, I think Beyondy's tough because Beyondy might have the most draft capital of the 3 right now, but I think Beyondy may have more. I mean, draft capital means more questions. I think you probably know more about Devontae Smith right now and Elijah Moore and Michael Pittman than you do about whoever is that wide receiver 1 next year. I mean, look at our first rookie draft. Ja'Marr Chase fell to 7. I mean, it's a question. And so I think it creates question marks that Danny doesn't have, but that draft capital is huge. And I think Danny probably has quite a bit as well. Him and Tom both were stocking up for a while.
Danny definitely has the most draft capital. Danny has 3 first-rounders this year.
Oh, God. I didn't realize it was so much. Good for you, Danny. I am proud of you. I don't know what no pond this time means, but I am liking it.
Danny is notorious for losing our Stony Brook League where you have to jump in the pond.
I am now caught up. Speaking of your Stony Brook League, did you, Beyondy, and Sarush win this week?
No, because we have Kamara.
So what I'm understanding is you as a person went 0-3 this week?
I actually have 3 Yahoo leagues that I all won because I used them as mocks for that league, and I won all those leagues. So
and you're really
3-3. So I have way too many fantasy leagues right now, basically.
So you're 0-3 this week because I'm not counting the Yahoo leagues that you like play with randoms that don't set lineups.
They set lineups. It's the same thing as it's a money league. They're all money leagues.
All right. I'm still counting you as 0-3 in all the leagues that I know about. So that's fun.
That's fair enough.
Act together. All right. Week 4 preview. This is fun times.
All right. I think we got to start with the battles of the undefeateds here.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be the game of the week.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I don't know if you looked at this beforehand. Sleeper has the game, I looked a little bit before we started, as exactly a 50-50 chance to win.
Yeah, I think they're split by under a point here.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, I mean, what is the storyline QB?
I think second QB is a big storyline here. I think Cam has a clear advantage here. I don't know. They're kind of even. I think I'd give Cam a big advantage at running back. And I guess I'd give Trent an advantage at receiver. I don't know.
I think Trent's big advantage and what might let Trent win this game is Mark Andrews against Tyler Higbee.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews goes out there and has another 20-point game. I think Cam's going to have a tough time. Josh Allen, I would put money on beating Jalen Hurts this week. I mean, Baltimore has not looked like a great defense. I guess neither really has Jacksonville, but Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are going to be running up and down that field all day.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt, I think, can be scary against an Atlanta team that is just super good. Do we know if Dalvin's playing?
Dalvin's still questionable. I think he's day to day right now.
And I think, I don't know, maybe you go with AJ Dillon no matter what, but I think at this point, I guess it's time for predictions. I'm going Pickman.
I gotta ride with Cam here. I think he wins out pretty easily at this QB2 slot for this week. So I think that'll make up the difference between Andrews, and then I just like those running backs a lot better on the on Cam's side. I know Dalvin hasn't gotten started yet, really, but I think he'll probably play this week. So,
and I want to quickly point something out because I just opened Sleeper back up. 3 of the 6 games this week are projected to be within a point, including the next game we're going to talk about, which is not the game of the week, but the most important game of the week, you versus Mitch.
Yeah.
Because I'm
feeling confident here. Given the way the season's gone, I bet that's not surprising. But I think
Mitch is feeling great.
It could go great.
Mitch is like sitting on a golf course in Singapore right now. He's feeling fine. He's just like driving around Yas Marina for some reason for like work. It's because when he's a lawyer who gets to go on work trips to Singapore, I'm a lawyer who gets to go to work trips in a jail. So one of us made good career choices. Wonder who that was. Anyway.
Probably not the public defender.
No, probably not. I mean, running back, if Barkley's going to do what Barkley's been doing, I don't know if your team is beatable. I think clearly you have the advantage at running back. I think wide receiver, I'm going Mitch. A.J. Brown has shown he is that man this year. I think Debo, with Garoppolo back in there, they're going to start doing a lot of the stuff they did last year to just like have him have the ball in his hands at all times.
Yeah.
Obviously, Juwan Johnson was a bad wide receiver at Penn State, has now turned into a tight end in the NFL and is bad there too. So, I mean, Kyle Pitts, hopefully it's Kyle Pitts once again. And then are you going Ayuk in the flex? Is that a thing that's happening?
I can't say the flex is decided at this point of the week. I'm sure I'll change that about 15 times before kickoff. So we'll see who ends up in there. I think Ayuk's been having a pretty good year, though. Maybe not production-wise, but I like the targets. I like the usage. So.
Fair enough. And I mean, I think Mitch has an interesting call this week, too. I'm assuming James Conner is going to be back to what looks like close to 100%. He's not on the injury report anymore. If he can be started at flex, I'm assuming that's probably what Mitch does, but Mitch does some things. And then I think QB-wise, Mitch has got to hope that Tampa and KC just throw the ball and run up the score against one another.
Yeah, it'd be great if they just both don't score any points because they both have good defenses. So that's what I'm hoping for.
All right, so I think it is prediction time. I got to be real. As I said before, running backs carry the day. I'm picking you. I just don't trust it. So I think if James Conner's playing, it sways me a lot. But I'm going you. Although I don't like Ayuk at the flex.
Yeah, I've probably gone back and forth on this, being realistic. I think Sleeper agrees with me. There's a 0.15 difference in our score right now, projected score, so that's fun. I lost last week and I picked myself, so why not? Let's try going with Mitch. We'll see how that works.
So, and now we have our last game that Sleeper says is even. Sarush and Skullcap. Now, my question to you is, you titled this game as Mortal Enemies. I would put money on Sarush not knowing who Sean was and vice versa. So why are they mortal enemies? What am I missing?
I think Sarush doesn't like his trading tactics.
Sean is the worst trader in the league. That has been established. Okay, I am on board, Sarush. You have many people in agreement here. Still love you, Shawnee, baby. But this whole trading thing. It's crazy because Sean's made like 2 wildly fair trades. His trade when he got Herbert was super fair. Like, Sean knows when it's fair. He just is bored in Detroit. Can you blame him?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I remember the Herbert trade, but
So that Herbert trade has had nothing but repercussions in this league. Trying to remember it off the top of my head, Mitch got Mixon.
Okay.
Sean got Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some other things in there. Obviously, I was the third team in this trade, so I remember mine more than anything else. I got McLaurin, Debo, and the pick that became Jamar Chase.
Seems like you made off pretty well in that trade.
Well, but I think,
given you gave up Herbert, so you gave up the most valuable player in the deal.
Yeah, and I think there were other picks and things throughout it, but that's my memory of it. I think if anybody, I think I gave up probably the most and got the most, while the two of them stayed more limited. I think Mitch especially didn't give up much for Mixon, but really completed that 3-team trade. Anyway, Sarush, we're on board. Sean is bad at this. But anyway, let's talk about the game time decision.
Yeah, I mean, Sleeper seems like they think Madison, that Cook is out here.
They do have
projecting Madison 13, so maybe that's maybe I should change my pick on that Cam selection.
I mean, Sleeper clearly thinks that he is playing. I mean, Kelsey may be the X factor here.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey's been great, but not probably what you need from him if you have him on your team. I think you need him to be easily tight end 1. He's been good, not great at this year, so could see a big game though. You never know. Those linebackers for Tampa are good though, so a little scary.
And I mean, I think otherwise Lamar and Tua are guaranteed starts. I mean, I guess it depends what's up with Tua. That man should not have been on the field. Should not be on the field. Miami needs to have a conversation with doctors or God or somebody. But
that's big this week because he also has Waddle. So given Teddy Bridgewater's not a bad backup, but
and I mean,
obviously, I think at this point you got to say Tua is a big advantage over Teddy Bridgewater here.
The only bright side, if Tua is out, is that Danny Jones has a great matchup this week. They're going against the Bears. Now, Danny Jones is really
2-1.
Yeah, I don't care. I really don't. They're bad. I don't care. I think, honestly, if I'm Sarush, I give a very hard look to Herbert at the flex. I think maybe you split Waddle if Tua is not playing. You can put Amon-Ra, if he is playing, to wide receiver. And I think this week, this game may be decided by who is stepping foot on the field for Sarush's team.
Yeah. If Sarush is healthy, I think he takes this game pretty easy. Obviously, if players are out here, it makes a big difference because Sarush's depth isn't exactly. Sarush doesn't have Kittle in the lineup right now. That's a little interesting.
Well, Big Pat is that man. We are. He's playing the Jets. Could be a great matchup. Could be a matchup thing. Or he could just be like me and hasn't looked at his lineup yet. Because I couldn't tell you what my lineup even looks like. I'm sure it's the same as last week, I guess. I think here's what I'm going to say. Prediction time. I'm going Sean. And I'm going Sean because I'm predicting not everybody on Sarush's team is playing football this week.
Yeah, I'm going Sarush here. Till he gets beaten, I'll probably pick him every week. So that's what I'm rolling with.
Well, I think that's a smarter decision, but we're being bold out here.
I like it.
And now we're up to.
We got Lamb Chop versus Biondi here.
Ooh, okay.
I am stupid, as some people may know him.
Yes. So we got Red Bull versus Ferrari. Lamb weirdly likes Max, and it's one of my least favorite things about him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bad take.
It's a terrible take, but we'll let him have it.
Then again, my whole family likes Max, so I guess.
Well, your brother's stupid.
Yeah, agree with that.
The rest of them are fine. So I think this kind of comes back to what we were talking about before. I mean, Biondi is a super underdog according to Sleeper, and that feels kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I think they got Brissett a little too low here, and Cooper a little too low too. That Atlanta matchup is juicy.
Well, Atlanta matchup is juicy. However, the one thing Atlanta has is a corner back that can lock up in AJ Terrell. So, I mean, if he's going to follow Amari around the field all day, I guess it's a tougher matchup. But Amari's a clear wide receiver 1 right now. I think running back, Lamb Chop is a weird team because he's got 4 guys, and then everybody else is just who he chooses to play that week.
Yeah.
I think
always hard to predict a Lamb Chop matchup, but.
Well, I think Curtis Samuel has moved himself into a flex starter almost every week. I think Jamal Williams over ETN is something he needs to start thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, Swift is pretty much out at this point, so I think you're putting Jamal Williams in that slot all day, every day, just for usage. I mean, I think ETN hasn't played more than 40% of the snaps, so.
No, and I think that's where my prediction in this game lies. If Lamb Chop listens to us and starts Jamal Williams, Lamb Chop wins this week. My prediction.
Then again, we didn't win any championships, so he can choose however he chooses.
That is true. Very, very true. But you did not predict. We are all waiting with our.
Oh, it's my turn to predict.
Yes.
The heart's saying Biondi, the head's saying Lamb Chop here.
We do love.
I'm gonna go with Lamb Chop. Not only because I think that's what's gonna happen, but also because I'm sure that's what Biondi wants to happen here. So I'm rooting for you, Biondi.
So speaking of Biondi, while I'm thinking about it, Mari posted a picture of you and him the other day. I get a text at 3 a.m. from Trevor. It probably wasn't that late, but it felt that late. And he's like, I didn't know that's what Biondi looked like. I didn't know Biondi was white. I would have sworn Trevor and Biondi had met, but I guess not.
Yeah, I don't think they've met.
Oh, well, Trevor thought Biondi was not white. I don't know what Trevor thought Biondi looked like, but he was like, that's not Biondi. He's like, no, that's definitely what Biondi looks like. Anyway, we could move on to Trevor's game. Mr. Miracle, Mr. Delusional trying to steal one from his boy.
Hey, 2-2-1 teams, pretty evenly matched here. We got Trevor getting Garrett Wilson back.
Maybe.
Adam Thielen's going to catch 3 touchdowns from Kirk Cousins this week.
I mean, Thielen Jefferson may decide the game. Who Kirk Cousins throws to may decide the game.
Yeah, I mean, no.
Well,
let's be honest. This game's over before it started, but if you lose, that would be really funny. So,
hey, I predicted Trevor would beat you, and he did beat you. Did I predict Nelson Aguilar was going to have 40? No. So I think the interesting thing in this game is Kyler gets Carolina. It might be time for Kyler to be the squirrel man we all love and enjoy. Hopefully Belichick and his 8 defensive coordinators who are all playing offensive coordinator this year get a game plan against Rodgers because Matt Patricia is somehow an offensive coordinator because that's not crazy. I don't know. I think there's some weird. It's not recency bias. It's the opposite of recency bias with Kamara. Why is Kamara still projected at 14? That man has not shown anything yet this year. Chase and Jefferson are projected at 30. I think that's where they should probably be projected every week. Obviously, they've put together 12 to combine the last 2 weeks. Tight end is not great if you're looking at Goddard as my only real tight end. But I think this game is won and lost at the super flex position.
Yeah, so that's why you win.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this game is won and lost because Trevor doesn't have a second quarterback because he traded Jared Goff.
Yeah, I mean, the flex position, too. Nicole Hardman's not a...
So I'm not going to go that far yet because Trevor has made the right call in the flex position the last 2 weeks. But the super flex position is where I feel comfortable.
Hardman was in his flex last week. He got 0.7, so.
Singletary was super flex, so I guess that's fine. And then last game. Oh, are we still talking about Trevor? Because Trevor's going to get a big head if he didn't have one already. And by big head, I mean big forehead. That hairline is receding. Rebecca keeps handing him the Rogaine. And if there's a hangover, he goes, bring in the Rogaine. Check. You said the Rogaine. Check. Love you, Trevor. Hope you're okay.
I'm staying out of that one.
That's how she'll agree with me. We'll bring her as a guest next time instead of him. Because that sounds way more fun.
That would be fun.
The better half. All right. Last game.
Last game.
For last.
Big T versus Danny. I don't know what we want to say about this game. Very low projected scores on both sides. Pollard looks good. I think the running backs is an interesting battle. I think either side could have more points there. Receivers too. I mean, Devontae Smith, Elijah Moore, Pittman. I assume Danny's going to start Pittman this week.
I think so.
I mean,
one where I think it's going to come down to the super flex.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Irv Smith should be starting there, but
Danny is just messing around. I mean, it feels like Stevenson should probably get that start. Maybe he does go Pittman and leaves like Claypool and those guys in there. But I mean, having a QB is just so valuable that it's really hard to pick against Tom with having two QBs.
Yeah, I mean, Mariota's, I think the most points he could possibly score is 20. So you're not at a super disadvantage there starting a normal player as long as they're pretty good.
He's like 18.
I agree. The floor is a little higher, but.
And I mean, and Trubisky, if he wants to go that route, like Trubisky's averaging like 13-ish, and he's playing the Jets. And I like the Jets defense, but it's the Jets.
Yeah. Hot take of the week: Kenny Pickett replaces Trubisky after the first quarter of this game. So.
Ooh, Danny, start Kenny Pickett and Tom start Mitch Trubisky and see what happens, boys. Wins and losses don't matter. We're playing for potential points, and they get those anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going Tom. Danny, I'm sorry you end up 0-4.
I'll go Danny. Why not?
All right.
Let's go, Danny.
So we stayed a little along party lines there. So recap, I went Pickman, you went Cam.
Yep.
You went Mitch, I went you.
Yeah.
I went Skullcap, you went Sarush. Yeah. So again, other than your game, we're staying party lines here. We both went Lamb Chop.
Did both go Lamb Chop.
Both went you. So you have Stony Brook winning 1, 2, 3 games. I have Penn State winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the 6 this week. I only picked Stony Brook to win in 1 game, and that was yours. Turns out I am going to be really stupid, and Stony Brook will win all 6 this week. So I am sorry, Penn Staters. That's on me.
Let's go Stony Brook. Sarush, hold down the fort for us. We're all counting on you.
I mean, Sarush has to win. I think. Yeah, I mean, Sean, offer him some trades this week just for fun. I'm thinking like a Miles Sanders for Lamar and Derrick Henry. Probably pretty fair off the top of my head. But all right, it looks like we have come to an end of our segment. Wow, that ended up being way long.
This is a lot longer than I thought it was going
to be. It was. You have an hour and 15 minutes of listening to us idiots. For some reason, I assume they're going to dislike the podcast and choose the write-up.
So how much of this do you think they're actually going to watch?
I think we need an over-under on each player, but that would just make this longer.
Because there's no way anyone's watching to where we are right now. Hey, if anyone's watching to where we are right now, I'll Venmo you $5.
We need to start like putting in weird little like catchphrases in the middle that we have to give people like passwords, and they get like a special prize, the first person who gives all the passwords in.
Actually, I won't Venmo you $5, but you know what we should do? Whoever, first person that watches this all the way to the end, you get 1 point this week.
Facts. And the first person who brings it up that they watch this all to the end, you, we'll see. Put it in the chat. I feel like I'm on like a YouTube. I'm like, comment, subscribe. But I think we need to cut this off because an hour and 15 minutes is way too long. Hope you guys enjoyed this. For some reason, I'm imagining we're going back to the write-up next week because
looks like we're going to be doing write-ups, man. I don't know what to say.
I mean, we can get this short. I think we need another week. This was a practice run. And by practice, I mean we did this live. For anyone who hasn't seen Bill O'Reilly, F it, we did it live. We had about this much prep. So, and for those of you who are not looking, it's really tiny, like Trevor. And so we will see you guys later. Jake, please stop the recording because I'm just going to keep talking.
See you next week.